Hey, Aubrey. Do you know what blue sky thinking means?
Yes, I feel like I'm a blue sky thinker, right? Being very
Yeah.
positive. I do hear this a lot when, at work, but do you think it's only used in business?
I don't think so. I think it is a trendy business phrase already. And I think it has sort of bled into other areas of life, guys.
Totally.
Anytime we are like creatively thinking out of the box, like coming up with innovative ways to do things, that's not just at work, right?
Yes. And we also have to talk about our jobs a lot on IELTS. So, for
Mhm.
example, you might be asked about your job and you could say, I get to do some blue sky thinking at my job, which was actually super hard at first because I didn't consider myself a creative thinker, but now it's my favorite part.
Nice. That would be a great IELTS answer. Guys, we are bringing you a special episode of one of our sister podcasts, Business English from All Ears English. Guys, search for Business English now and look for the yellow, that bright All Ears English yellow, and hit follow. You are going to hear an amazing Business English episode today, and stay tuned until the end of today's show because we are going to tell you the best idiom from today that you should learn, that you should use on IELTS.
Yes, and you're going to hear a few that you should not use on
Yeah.
IELTS. So we're excited for you to get this info. This was a really fun episode that Lindsay and I recorded. So let's hear the episode. Hi, Lindsay. How's it going?
Hey, Aubrey. It is fantastic. How's everything with you today?
I'm great. I have a question. Are
Okay.
you boiling the ocean?
Oh
Have
my
you
gosh.
ever
I,
heard this?
I don't even know how to answer that, to be honest. Does that mean, am I upset? Like, is my blood boiling? Is that what you're asking me?
Seems like
Or
maybe what it would yeah, we don't use this in the US at all. I'm
no?
excited. We got a really good question about some idioms, student asking about using them in business English. And this
Yeah.
is one of them that I had not heard of before, but it might be common in England or New Zealand, right? In other English speaking
Yes.
countries. We're going to
Yes.
share all of these idioms, what they mean, and whether you can use them at work or not.
For sure. And if you love hearing other voices from other countries, English speaking countries, go over to our website, guys, and type in, British or Australian. We've done tons of interviews with different people from these places, guys. So we do
Yes.
try to bring those voices onto the show as much as we can. But for today, we're going to get after these words ourselves. Right, Aubrey?
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'll read the question. It's from Caro on Spotify, who
Okay.
said, I would love to hear about the meaning of some of the following business English phrases: blue sky thinking, boiling the ocean, a quick flag, ducks in a row, herding cats, and singing from the same hymn sheet. So this
Ah,
is interesting.
wow.
Some of these I've heard before, and some of them I have not.
Yes. Yeah, definitely herding cats, I've heard.
Yes.
The other ones are gonna be sort of
A
new
little
for
less
me.
familiar. Yeah.
So, we have researched them. Normally, we just kind of stick with the, American English, but, hey, let's venture into something new and see what we can tie links to, maybe equivalent expressions we know in American English. We could do that, something like that.
Absolutely.
We'll see what
Yes.
we can do here.
And
Yes.
be sure to check out Lindsay and Michelle recently recorded an episode, Do You Have Your Ducks in a Row? Vocabulary for Getting Organized, where they shared several idioms that you can use at work that are very interesting, like having your ducks in a row.
Nice. Love it. All right, guys. And don't forget to hit the follow button right there on Business English to not miss the next episode. So, first one, Aubrey, was blue sky thinking. Okay. I
Yes.
think just by looking at this, I think I know what it means. I can kind of guess,
Yes.
right?
And I don't know that I'm super familiar, but if you said this, I would definitely know what you meant, right?
Right.
This is clearly not going to be something negative because blue skies are always associated with positivity. And this is a little different than I
Mm,
expected. I thought this would just be positive, being positive, but it actually means more like thinking outside of the box or like
okay.
brainstorming in a way that isn't as practical, being super creative.
I guess something somewhat equivalent could be the sky's the limit. You could say something like that.
Yeah.
Or there's a book I know called Blue Ocean Strategy. It's just a business
Mm.
book which talks about red oceans and blue oceans. It's markets in the business world, industries,
Okay.
and how to find a blue ocean and go into it. Someone hasn't tapped this particular market yet, right?
Gotcha.
Um,
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
I
with
think is
this, go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead. Mhm.
I was going to say, so with blue sky thinking, it looks like, if you're wanting your team to brainstorm and you don't want to think about what's realistic, we want to come up with any idea anyone could think of. We could say this, we need some blue sky thinking here. And
Yeah.
what the way I'm used to hearing this in, business English in the US is to think outside of the box.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the word blue, like the color blue and the word has kind of a sense of openness. I mean, the
Mhm.
sky, right,
Mhm.
is blue and the ocean, and it's just this idea of I don't know, openness.
Yeah.
Blue
So it
conveys
makes sense.
openness. Yeah, it
That's a
makes
good way
sense.
to collocate to remember this, right? So you might say, all right, let's start the meeting. We need some blue sky thinking today. And you're
Right.
meaning like, let's think outside of the box.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything that any rituals or habits you have when you want to get yourself to think outside of the box? Anything you do, like go for a jog or I don't know, like to reset your brain? Because I find that sometimes I'm in pathways in my mind and it's
Good
hard to think
question.
outside.
I
Yeah.
do like to doodle, like if I take notes
Oh,
or do like a mind map, something, because I think I'm just a very visual learner as far as wanting to
yeah.
write something down and see it written. Then I do
Yeah.
feel like that kind of helps me expand my ideas and think about something that I wouldn't have before.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Wow. Okay. That's a good ritual to be able to just to know yourself on how you get yourself outside of
Absolutely.
the box in terms of the way you think. Good for business too, right? Which is what we're
Yes,
looking at today.
for sure.
Boiling the ocean, Aubrey, what is that? So it
Yeah. So
seems like
this
it
is
would be hard to do
It
that.
does. That's a lot of water. And that's exactly right, right? This is very uncommon. I had not heard it before. I'm curious where it's popular. It could be somewhere, but it means to undertake an impossible task or
Mhm.
to make a task unnecessarily difficult, right? So if
Mm.
someone
Uh,
says, like, all right, well, we don't need to boil the ocean, it means like you are overcomplicating the task you have.
yeah, I mean, the equivalent in American English, we might say, "Don't make this harder than it is or than it has to be,"
Yes.
right?
Right. Don't make this harder than it has to be. Yes. Or don't
Yeah.
wheel. We'll say that too,
Don't
right?
what?
If it's like
Don't
there's
reinvent the wheel.
don't
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel. It's like there's a simple solution. Somebody has already done the groundwork that we can build
Mhm.
upon. So, like, let's do this the easy way.
Don't reinvent the wheel, don't overthink it. There are a lot of so today we're kind of adding on to our plan for this
Yeah.
episode, ways we say the same things in without these idioms that are not necessarily common in American English, right? Aubrey, is there a next one? Is there, number 3?
Yes, number 3 is a quick flag, and I looked in, on Reddit, in forums, I couldn't find this one anywhere, so it's possible that our listener had misheard a different idiom, I'm not sure what, so we do not recommend using a
We
quick
have no
flag.
answer.
Couldn't find it anywhere.
We have nothing for you guys.
It could be like slang in another country that I just couldn't find
Yeah,
online,
we
so
don't
leave
know.
us a comment on YouTube, guys, if you have heard
Yes.
this and know what it means, please share in the comments, I'd love to know.
Yes, teach us what you know. We love that. We want to learn from our community. Good
Absolutely.
stuff. Well, the next one, Aubrey, we both know, and it's a funny expression, right? And this one
Yes.
is used in American English.
Right, and it's herding cats. So this is a situation that's difficult to control or organize because those involved are inherently uncontrollable. I use this the most about my kids. I'm trying to get them to leave
Okay.
to go somewhere. I'm like, it's like herding cats
That's
because no one's
hilarious.
listening to me.
Yeah, no, it's so funny when you think about even just with cats, the difference between dogs and cats and how much, when you come home and your dog will come up and be all excited and listen to you and sit, and the cat's like, "Oh,
Just looks
forget
at
you.
you
I don't care about
nonchalantly.
you." Yeah, yeah. It's just like they couldn't be more different animals, you know?
It's so true. We have a bunch of cats here because we're on a 5-acre farm here, and
Oh,
so there are a
really?
bunch of outdoor cats that we call mousers
Uh,
because they're here to, like, keep the mouse population down, but they're feral. You cannot approach them. They would just,
oh,
like, hiss at you and claw, so it's tricky. You have to tell the
wow.
kids, like, "Don't try to pet these cats.
Oh,
They're
I
not
would
the
definitely
house
try.
cats you're used to."
So it's just it's the concept of, yeah, something is not controllable and you're trying to control it, which is
Exactly.
futile, of course. We know that in
Yes, and we
life.
do wanna be careful with this at work. It can be offensive, like,
Yeah,
imagine you're at work and say, "I'm trying to get everyone to the meeting, but it's like
right.
herding cats." This is really not
Yes.
something you would say about adults. Even if they're not listening
Right.
to you, you're frustrated, you can't control them. This is still not a kind and respectful thing to say about coworkers.
Yeah, I think anytime that you are sort of drawing a comparison between your colleagues and animals, probably be careful. Danger zone, right?
Very good point, right? It's just not very kind or
Yes.
respectful.
Stay away or at least be careful. Make sure there probably are some idioms that are okay, but generally wade carefully in that area.
Tread
Okay.
carefully. Yes,
Tread
right? Tread
carefully, yes.
carefully. Absolutely.
Number 5, Aubrey, what is it? What is it?
So this was singing from the same hymn sheet. This is also
Okay.
uncommon. I hadn't heard it before, but it might be common in other countries. Were you familiar with this one, Lindsay?
No, no, it also might be common in certain communities that attend church more
Definitely.
often,
That's
right?
true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
possible. It means a group of people who all have the same aims or all express the same opinion on a particular subject.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and what would be I mean, we're all in the same boat, sort of not exactly
Mhm.
the same thing.
Or we're
Having
all
the
on the
same
same
opinion,
page,
on the same
maybe?
page,
Yeah, it's a little tricky
we're
because
aligned,
on the
we've taught
same
the term
page
aligned.
or aligned means more like we have the same
Yeah,
goal. And this sort of
yeah.
means we all have the same opinion. So that's a little
Um,
different. Do we have another idiom for that?
well, you could say we see eye to eye with 2 people, but
Yeah,
not multiple
we see
people.
eye to eye. I think
Um,
in the same boat is more similar than on the same page, right? If like
mhm,
we all
mhm.
have the same
Yeah.
opinion, I could see saying, okay, we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, we're all in the same boat. So we'll come back and circle back and teach these another day for sure. But it's good to just kind of draw the connections. Kind of a fun
Absolutely.
exercise here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you could say at work, right? Glad to see we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, but keep in mind that at least in the US, people would
Mm,
might be like, what does that mean? They
yeah.
likely won't be familiar with this phrase.
Unless you're living with a community that goes to church a lot and may definitely you might hear it all the
Yeah,
time. So
maybe.
idioms are
Yeah,
so specific to people and
totally.
what they think about. Fascinating.
All
Yeah.
right, let's do a role play here. You and I are running a conference in this role play. Want to start us out?
That is a big endeavor. Oh my
Yes, imagine.
gosh. Jeez. Just attending a conference is enough of a challenge.
Imagine
Okay.
running one. Woo. No,
Gosh. No,
thank
thank
you.
you.
I'll pass.
All right, so here we go. I loved that last speaker. Her message about blue sky thinking was fantastic.
I agree. Much easier to be creative when we're not focused on what's realistic.
Well, we need to get everything organized for the book signing. I think it's going to be an uphill battle.
For sure. Moving everyone between sessions at this conference has been like herding cats. That's funny. This
Yes.
maybe I would use it this way with like a colleague, and we're sort of
Yeah, yeah.
speaking metaphorically generally about just a
Yes.
group of people, right?
I mean, the
If all
difference,
of them
yeah.
were my colleagues, I don't know that I would say that.
Right, right. The difference is it's just you and me, and we're in the corner. We're having a conversation. We've been
Right.
going through this challenge together. That's
Right.
acceptable to use it
I
in that
certainly
case.
wouldn't say this publicly in front of all of
Yes.
them.
Oh,
Like,
it's been like
okay, it's
herding
been like
cats with
herding
all of
cats
you.
getting you to go where we
Yeah.
want. No, no,
No,
no, no.
you would not say that, right? So it's
No.
very subtle choosing who's going to overhear it and who
Right.
you're actually talking to and what the levels are there. So in this case, I said, I love that speaker. Her message about blue sky thinking was fantastic. So it's maybe a keynote speaker gave a motivational talk.
Yeah, about thinking outside of the box, being
Hmm.
creative. Love that.
Yeah.
And then you said, and this is one I was thinking was sort of a parallel for one of them. You said, I think it's going to be an uphill battle. And this
Yes.
was one I was thinking about recommending instead of boiling the ocean, just like,
Mm.
an impossible task or something that's extremely difficult. We would
Yes.
often say an uphill battle.
That's a good one. I like that. And that one is very common for sure in
Yes.
American English. And then the last one, we already talked about this at this conference. It's been like herding cats to get people to move between sessions.
Yeah,
Yes. And I'm
which
sure
is
that is
very
how people
fun,
feel.
but just be
Yeah.
careful who you're saying it to or about could be
Yes.
offensive.
100%. Any takeaway for our listeners today? We've had an interesting episode because we've
Yeah.
shown you some idioms that we're not necessarily super familiar with, but then we've drawn connections to the same way to say that in American English. Love it.
Exactly. So thank you to Caro for sending in this amazing question. A good takeaway is just that some idioms are too uncommon or too unfamiliar to use in English, depending on where you live, the community. Some of these I wouldn't use in the US because people might not understand what you mean. They might be unfamiliar with them.
I also would say, as a learning tip for our listeners today, see if you can play a little game in your head based on what we just did today when you're speaking. So, this whole game of say it another way,
Mm,
right? How can you, if you're having a conversation, you say something, you say some expression, then you think to yourself, just in your head, how could I have said that in a different way? A different
that's such a
idiom.
good activity to help you learn to paraphrase. Because then, if you
Huge.
can't think of how to say something a specific way, you will have that skill of being able to quickly say it a different way instead of pausing and thinking.
That is going to give us the confidence base to really then be free and clear for connection, right? Our minds will be clear to actually connect. But I think this is what a lot of our listeners, Aubrey, really want is that flexibility. And it's not going to come to us just by listening. It's actually we need to take that extra step and play a little game in our minds. Okay.
Exactly, right? And
Love it.
just in your mind, like you said, or speaking out
Yeah.
loud or with a conversation partner.
It's
Such a
really
great
cool.
activity. I love that idea.
Yeah, maybe we'll add that in as a game for a fluency party or something one of these months here.
Absolutely. Yes.
All right, good stuff. All right, Aubrey, talk to you soon. Have a good day.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay.
All
See you
right,
next time.
bye.
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 Aubrey, great job on that episode. What idiom that you guys taught do you think is the most fun for IELTS?
Definitely herding cats.
Yeah.
We sort of shared how this isn't always appropriate at work, but it's perfect for IELTS. Anytime it was difficult to organize a group, whether it's a crowd of people, children, teens, family, you're talking about your school days, this is going to be perfect to say something was difficult, to say it was like herding cats.
Yeah, anytime, guys, you are describing a place, an event in which a crowd of people is difficult to control, right? Someone's trying to control the people in some way and it's not going well. You can be like, it was like herding cats. So I think this is the most useful for IELTS because it's the most flexible, right? If you're talking about going to family reunions, right? I could say, like, anytime I go to a family reunion and there's more than 5 of us, it's like herding cats. It is impossible to get the whole group to do anything.
Yes, and I think it's so useful to know some of these idioms that either are super uncommon or old enough that the examiner might not be familiar with them. They
Yeah,
might just think you're making a mistake. So, a few of these, like a quick flag that we're not familiar with,
yeah.
you should avoid using these on IELTS. A lot of the idioms that you see online, you can't just be like, oh, perfect. Yep, I'll use that on IELTS. So, really good to keep in mind that you want to make sure to use idioms the examiner will understand.
Exactly, guys. So, on all of our shows, guys, Business English, All Ears English, here on IELTS Energy, it is important that we teach you not just what to say, but also what not to say. I mean, in that
Yeah.
episode, these came from a listener, these came from a student of English, right? So, we know you guys are seeing so many resources out there, and it's hard to know who to trust. So, listen to all of our shows, guys. We have a new episode from one of our podcasts every day of the week. So, right now, guys, search Business English from All Ears English and hit follow wherever you're listening.
Yes, awesome. And we'll see you over on the Business English podcast as well as right here on IELTS Energy. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks, Aubrey. Bye.
Bye.